In the world of startups, what is an MVP? MVP is minimum viable product when you're talking about startups, not most valuable player or most valuable professional or any of those other MVPs that are out there. The minimum viable product is a startup term that means the least amount of product you can release that will still prove out your idea. Now, an example would be to say you have the latest in anti-gravity technology. Rather than building out a hover car that uses your anti-gravity technology, you'd spin out a toy or something small that would prove that your anti-gravity actually worked and people would buy it. Now, toy may not be the right case for here, but you get the idea. Rather than building the full, grandest version of the product that you could come up with, you put out the minimum viable product to get some traction and prove that the market works. Now, if you're releasing a competitor to Facebook, that means having all of the features that Facebook has and some new features. If you're making Facebook for small business, a subset of Facebook, you probably don't need to have every feature that Facebook has, just the core features, and then a set of features that are specific to small and medium business, so that you can say, well, businesses would like the ability to do cash transactions between each other, or rate their invoices, or some strange thing like that. And you wouldn't have to have video sharing, for instance, or the ability to have threaded comments. Those aren't core features of Facebook, and so you wouldn't need them in your minimum viable product. So how big your minimum viable product is really a function of how big your competitors are. If you released a product that could in fact do teleportation, you would be the only game in town. And so you wouldn't have to be able to teleport living things. You could transport boxes of stuff or sheets of paper or whatever. And you wouldn't have any competitors. So your minimum viable product would be just what it takes to get working. But if you were in an established market, you'd have to have something that worked very well, was very safe, and was an incremental version ahead of the competitor. Actually, many startups, VCs tell them they have to have a 10x advantage over their competitor. So think about the way it was when Google first came into existence. Alta Vista, Dogpile, all of these search engines worked basically off of some click data about which things people clicked on the most and whether or not the keywords even appeared on the page. Google came along with the idea of PageRank and made search results 10 times better than anybody else's. And that is what it took to make Google's minimum viable product. It wasn't enough to have a search engine. It was a search engine that was 10 times better than everybody else's. And that's what it takes to make an MVP. Either something that opens a new market or is 10 times better than your competitor at whatever it is that it does. So going back to that Facebook for small business, it doesn't have to have all of the features of Facebook. It just has to have features that are specific to its industry that make it 10 times better for that industry than Facebook is. And so that's how you come up with your MVP.